Welcome to the LitWits channel. Here's a short biography of E.L. Konigsburg, author of From the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. BASIL E. FRANKWEILER. Teachers and homeschool parents, if you're looking for fun, hands-on ways to bring the mixed up files to life for your kids, check out our collection of original, free, creative teaching ideas and resources. You'll find the link in the description below. And now, let's learn about Elaine Lobel Konigsburg. E.L. Konigsburg is the well-known author of 2 Newbery Medal winning books, most notably From the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. BASIL E. FRANKWEILER. This is the beloved story of runaway siblings who stay undetected at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City while they solve a mystery involving Michelangelo. It's a very cool story. Mrs. Konigsburg was a really interesting person, as of course all authors are, and there's lots we could talk about. But we think what you'd most like to know about are the things in her life that inspired her to write her most famous book, and especially how her children were involved in the whole process from start to finish. So Elaine Lobel was born in Manhattan, that's New York City, in 1930. Her parents were Jewish immigrants, and the family moved to a small mill town in Pennsylvania when she was young, and that's where she was raised. And like many of you, she loved to read, and she loved school. In fact, she graduated from high school at the head of her class and became the first person in her family to earn a degree, which was a huge accomplishment. One of the jobs she worked to put herself through school was as a bookkeeper at a meat processing plant. And it was here she met David Konigsburg, the brother of one of the owners, whom she would go on to marry in 1952. Now you might think that her degree was in literature or in writing because she was so good at these things, but no, she graduated with honors with a degree in chemistry. She had a passionate interest in science. In fact, she taught chemistry at a girls' school for a while. But she discovered that, as one biographer put it, she was more interested in what was going on in the girls' heads than in the test tubes. And there were also some minor mishaps while mixing different chemicals together. Eventually, she stopped being a science teacher, and she became a full-time mom instead, and that's when she began to write. She would write while her 3 kids were in school, and then when they came home for lunch, she'd read what she'd written. And if they laughed, she kept it in. They were her first editors. Well, it was during this time that Elaine Konigsburg began to develop her love of drawing as well. And since her family was living just outside Manhattan, she would bring the kids into the city on Saturdays and drop them off at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Quite a babysitter. And she would go take an art class while the kids would wander the halls and look at all the amazing things collected through time from around the world. And then when Elaine was done, she would join them for a while and maybe do a little art appreciation lesson, point out some things they could or should learn, and then they'd all go home. And it was on one of these trips to the Met that Elaine saw something that got her imagination going. She saw, behind one of those velvet ropes they put up in museums to protect the exhibits, a beautiful blue chair. And on the chair was a single kernel of popcorn. And Elaine began to wonder, how did that piece of popcorn get there? Who was it, that climbed over the rope and maybe sat in that chair that was supposed to be off limits and had a snack? And that little popcorn was the kernel of an idea that became this book. But at the time, she just tucked that question away about the blue chair and the popcorn, tucked all that away in her mind. And then one day, she read an article in the New York Times about a piece of artwork bought by the Met from a wealthy widow at an auction for only a couple $100. And the experts were suspecting that it actually might be the work of Leonardo da Vinci. If you haven't heard of him, you will. He's a really famous, super important Italian artist from the time of the Renaissance. So that, of course, really got her thinking. And then the final bit of inspiration for this story came while she was on a trip to Yellowstone with her family. They were all having a picnic, the kids and her husband and her. And her kids started whining about the bugs and the sun and how inconvenient it was to eat outside. And she thought, man, if my kids ever run away, they better go someplace civilized. So all these ideas sort of combined to create this wonderful story from the mixed up files of Mrs. BASIL E. FRANKWEILER. And you know, her kids were part of the story in another way too, because she used them as models for the artwork. She would take snapshots, like this one, of them posing in Jamie and Claudia-like positions, and then she would draw them. Her daughter Lori posed for Claudia, and her son Ross posed for Jamie, and her son Paul posed for a random boy sitting at the front of the bus in Chapter 1. Undoubtedly, all of her kids were so proud of her when this book won the Newbery Medal in 1968. In fact, this was her second book. Her first book that she wrote received the status of Newbery Honor Book that same year. And it had an even longer name. It was called Jennifer, Hecate, Macbeth, William McKinley, and Me, Elizabeth. That was the name of the book. And E.L. Konigsburg is still the only author to have books win 2 Newbery Awards in the same year. She later earned another Newbery Medal for her book A View from Saturday, about a paraplegic teacher and 4 of her 6th grade students. Well, Elaine Konigsburg died in 2013 at the age of 83. By that time, she had written 24 books, including 19 novels, 3 picture books for children, and 3 nonfiction books. This picture of her grown-up children, Paul and Lori, the ones who posed for Jamie and Claudia, was taken at her memorial, which was held, where else, but at the Met. E.L. Konigsburg once said in an interview that what she most hoped to deliver to kids through her books was intelligent entertainment. And that she has done, combining relatable characters with real-world facts and issues. And this story is one of her best. Not only does it make great reading, but sneaking into the Met and solving important art mysteries remains one of the all-time best runaway plans ever.